Well, welcome back, blade lovers. This old sword with you once again. And we have a new brand for you today. One that's just become available from White Mountain Knives. And one that I have not reviewed before. This is a company known as Acta Non Verba, made in the Czech Republic. And this model is the Z300 liner lock. Let's adjust here a little bit. Sorry about that. First of all, we have a nice rigid box with a cover. We have a little red ribbon to pull the foam cover off. We have a nice card here indicating that it's been inspected and assembled by an individual. And it kind of acts as a official card of authenticity, I would imagine. Inside we have a nice little three-dimensional button-like sticker for Acta Non Verba knives, and there's their logo. Looks like a zigzag. This is interesting. This is what they call their special grease. First time I have received a knife with special grease. Give you a little more light there. So that's interesting, and I had used some of that because I've disassembled this knife. One thing I must say, and that's a nice stiff foam cutout they give you. One thing I must say is that it was very stiff and tight out of the box. It runs on washers. See? Give it a little more energy. And perhaps a little more with a wrist flick. So it's still a little tight. I worked on the adjustment. What it rides on is double sets of nylon washers, 2 on each side of the blade. It disassembles relatively easily, with the exception that you've got a T8 on one side of the pivot, nothing over here, and this turns freely. So you have to apply some pressure either with your thumb or with a grippy rubber surface to stabilize that side of the pivot while you remove the pivot screw. We have a wire clip that is interchangeable left and right. Fits into a bushing there that has 2 holes in it. Locks in there very solidly after you tighten the screw down. And as you can see, it is ultra deep carry. This thing just disappears. It does come in and out of the pocket pretty easily, although I notice it's just a little bit grabby. Might be because of where it's positioned on that milled black G10 handle slab. It is quite light. Let's see if we can get you some of the specs. One of the reasons it's light is that that handle is mostly G10 with a steel liner on one side only. So by the way, Acta Non Verba means, in Latin, action, not words. Very interesting. And the action possibly could be a little better on this one in terms of action and not words. The length of the knife opened is 210 millimeters or 8.3 inches. The blade is 3.5 inches or 90 millimeters. The blade stock thickness is 3 millimeters or 0.1 inches. The weight is 3.5 ounces. And I don't have a handle thickness, so we'll grab that once I get the calipers out. So we're right at a 1/2 inch. Let's double check the blade stock. Relatively thin. 3.5 millimeters. They said 3 millimeters. I think 3.5 millimeters. Let's double check them on some of the other specs too. So excluding the clip, we have 8.25 inches. If we include the clip, we've got 8.5 inches. Got a blade length of 3.5, as they said. We got a cutting edge of 3.5. And on the weight, .14 ounces. So I think their specs are a little off, but that's what we got. We have an interesting feature here on the flipper tab. I can light it up for you. We have a GID, glow in the dark. I'm not really going to see it too well here, but it does light up pretty well with a strong amount of light. So it's phosphorescent in that sense. It's not a what do you call it? Forget the word. It's not a like a luminescent watch face. So it's not that radioactive substance. Used to know the word for it. Anyway, it's either a paint or it is a piece that is put through a hole in the flipper tab and goes all the way through. But it does glow in the dark. I don't know the advantage of that if you've got it in your pocket with the point up and the flipper down. Maybe if you have it on a table somewhere you can see it. I'm not sure that adds any real advantage. So not a lot of billboarding. Got the Acta Non Verba company logo there. But yes, we've got a lot going on over here, telling you it's made in the Czech Republic. It is from Sleipner steel. And I have my handy dandy knife steel compositions out here, so give you a quick rundown. It's Udelholm proprietary cold work tool steel, modification of AISI D2 steel. Has improved toughness compared to D2, good wear and chipping resistance, attainable hardness of 60 to 64 HRC, and it's used by Lion Steel in their folders. According to Lion Steel, it has better edge holding than the M390 steel, although no information has been provided on tests. So that's interesting. So we have the Z300 by Acta Non Verba knives, Sleipner steel, or Sleipner steel, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. It is, this one is G10. They do make one in an aluminum handle. The blade is stone-washed and comes in black, olive, and coyote, and orange. This one happens to be black, and that was the only color that I saw available out at White Mountain Knives. It has a stone-washed surface. It's a spearpoint blade with a 3/4 flat grind. Seems to have a pretty keen edge. Not going to do any cutting tests at the moment. It's a liner lock, and if you give it a good amount of energy and a little wrist flick, no problems, comes right out. But it's not your typical slick ball bearing with a detent style knife. Does have a good detent. We'll give it a quick compare to a few other blades. It's a medium to medium large size flipper. Very comparable in size to the Griptilian, actually slightly longer. And that's not including the wire clip. Here we have the Freak, comparable size to the Freak. And to the Amalgam. Amalgam's obviously going to be a larger knife all around. So Acta Non Verba, made in the Czech Republic. I did need to adjust it. It's got no blade play or no lock rock whatsoever. If you work at it really hard, you can get a little bit of blade play in there, but that is fairly common with knives that ride on softer bushings. Again, no ball bearings here, and no ceramic ball bearings. It is riding entirely on washers, and as I said, a double set of nylon washers on each side. They're not bronze. One thing about bronze or brass washers, it makes the knife a little more stable side to side. It is a light knife, being just a little over 3 ounces in all G10, with just that one little inserted liner on the locking side. It's got good lockup. After playing with it a little bit, it's got perfect centering. Not that it didn't come through with it, but I had to loosen and tighten it a bunch of times. And again, this action's easy to fail. If you don't put any energy into it, it's going to do just about that. Give it some energy, and it does come out. Got that trick little glow-in-the-dark dot there. Again, not really sure the value of that. I think it's just kind of a selling point add-on. Not something that I really feel is going to be used, particularly since that fades after maybe an hour or so of being exposed to light. We've got a lot of light going on here, and I'm not going to attempt to show you a darkened version of that, but it does glow. Again, this is the Z300 Acta Non Verba, a light knife, a medium to large size knife, 3.5-inch blade, useful, beautiful deep carry clip, wire clip, very similar to what Spyderco uses on a number of their models. It is switchable, fully open, excuse me, fully open in the back. No screws other than the tail end and the pivot. A little bit of flex in the middle, but really nothing to worry about. That may account for a very slight amount of blade play, and I'm not even getting it here. It's just more flex than it is blade play, but does lock up tight. And with a little energy on that flipper, as I said, no problem. I think I covered all the salient points. Hope you enjoyed the review. Give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. This Old Sword, signing out.